There was a property in Canton. It's over 200 acres.
I think I saw that one video you posted.
Yeah, it's about 200 acres, and you can experience 200 acres from, you can in a way just driving around though, but if you want to get the big picture, you need a drone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everybody. Rodrigo Fonador here, episode number 24 with Asheville Real Estate News. Really excited to talk to you guys today about photography, specifically drone photography for real estate. So before we even get into that, just remember, check us out on Instagram. We're on iTunes, Google Play, and let us know. Do you enjoy the videos? Do you think we're putting out good content? Is this beneficial for you? Give us a follow. Let us know what your questions are. So I got Oscar here, and we're going to talk about drone photography today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, no problem. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. So everybody's got a crazy story about how they showed up in Asheville.
All right.
What's yours?
My family used to own a restaurant. They own Tomato Cocina Latina a few years back ago. It unfortunately closed down though, but my mom's brothers, they lived here in Asheville. And the two brothers and the two sisters decided to open a restaurant. So they... that's why we ended up moving to Asheville, North Carolina to open a restaurant.
Oh, wow. And so you obviously don't work in the restaurant industry now. What was that transition like?
The transition was a little harder because I grew up in the restaurant business. I moved here when I was 14 years old, and then I started washing dishes, and then I started waiting tables, and then I started managing a little bit. Okay. And then from my family's restaurant, when it closed down, I went to keep working at a restaurant business. I did some fine dining at the Biltmore, and then I did at King Daddy's Chicken and Waffles here in Haywood.
Yeah, it's down the road from us.
Yeah, I worked with them for 3 years and a half, and I just recently left King Daddy's to pursue some more aerial video and photography.
Oh, full time.
Yeah.
So how's that transition been? Just working for yourself now and everything?
It's a little scary, because I'm being used to the restaurant business, and just transition to something new and just doing it for yourself. Yeah. It's been tricky though, but something that has helped me for the past 2 years is that I've been working with a wedding videographer. Okay. And getting the idea, because I always taken pictures. I've always been fascinated by photography.
Right. Just as
mostly for
selfies
fun.
And whatnot.
Well, not selfies. I never like being in front of the camera.
Right.
I like being behind it and just capturing those moments. It's about remembering the past and then being able to share that with your friends and family.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I follow you on Instagram and saw great pictures, and I know you try to do a fair amount of traveling as well. It's always been fun to see where you're at. But well, what about with the drone photography? We're talking about real estate. This is all about this is what this show's podcast is about, and it seems that it's becoming a much more easier place to look at houses. It's online. The pictures are getting better. Videos are getting better. And it seems that, not a lot of the houses that are listed or that we look at, etc., people use drone photography for it. And I think that, there's something to be said that's probably going to be changing in the future. Or what do you think on your side of things?
Yeah, there's so much going on now with drones. You have the ability to do so many things, not just to take a picture of a house, though, but you can actually create a 3D model of the house that you're looking at.
Really?
Yeah.
That's news to me. Okay.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's still brand new technology though, but with your basic drones that are coming out on the market, there are software being developed where you can fly your drone, you can put the address, and you can tell it to take a digital 3D image of the house itself. Wow. But right now, what it's being used mostly is just to make a video or take pictures from the air to get an idea of the square footage or the size of the lot.
Yeah. Which is always nice.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's kind of hard too.
Yeah, because sometimes I think a lot of people use CGI from the Buncombe County.
Oh, GIS, yeah.
GIS to look at the size of the lot.
Right.
And it will give you an idea of how big it is though, but the drone will give you a more perspective because you can look at it live.
Because we use GIS for what we do a lot, or like Google Maps. Yeah. And you can kind of see it, but a lot of times the images are a year old. Yeah. And in a place like Asheville that, 6 months, there's a new house set in every place that was a lot. It's hard to tell how accurate things are. But
in a drone, you can bring a drone pilot with you. You can fly it up and you will have a live feed to your iPad or your phone, depending what you're using to control the the drone. So you have a live feed and you can move it certain ways and like let me inspect the roof maybe because because you're looking for an investment property and sometimes those investment properties are they're damaged, they have damage, so you'll bring the drone and it will help you to do a quick inspection of the house as well.
That is, so you said drone pilot, so it makes it sound like there's a little bit, I don't know, I've never flown a drone, I've just seen the remote controls and I was terrible with remote control cars, so I haven't tried, but...
Well, nowadays the government, it's, before you used to buy a drone and just fly and just have some fun. Yeah. And now there are some security concerns and things like that, though, but a lot of people who actually fly drones, they first start for fun, taking pictures, taking videos of their neighborhood and things like that, though. But now once you want to use it commercially to make money out of it or to use it in a purpose, like for example, if you own a drone and the purpose of you using a drone is for eventually we'll be able to sell the house that you purchased. Right. But the government has made it a little bit tricky. In order for you to do anything commercially with a drone, you have to have a permit.
And how do they define commercial? So is it when it's anything that has to do with the sale of a house, that would be considered?
Anything that it will require some money.
Okay. So I can buy a drone and just do it for fun. I don't need a license.
No.
But if I'm going to take pictures and then try to use those pictures for a monetary advantage, then I do?
Yes. You will need a permit from the FAA. It's called a Part 107 certification. It's pretty much like a little license that they give you for you to do anything commercially with a drone. It requires some studying, and then you have to go to most of the time it will be by the airport because they require you to do a test.
A flying test?
Not a flying test though, but it will give you an idea of how pilots actually run through the air. It gives you there's a map that it will give you a different laws within different heights of flying.
Okay.
Legally for the drones, 400 feet is the legal height. Anything for commercially and hobbyists, 400 feet is your top height legally. But it's really tricky here in the mountains though because you can be next to a building that it's a couple hundred feet up in the air, and the 400 starts above the building, not above where it took off.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so it's really
if
tricky.
you're at the top of a mountain, it's 400 from the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but you have to be in your eyes, make sure you can see the drone because once you don't see it, that's technically illegal.
Really?
So it's really tricky because these machines are incredible.
Yeah.
Like for example, this one, it's the Mavic Pro. You can send it as far as 4 miles.
4 miles.
4 miles.
Can you even see 4 miles?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. I was gonna say I don't know if I wear contacts.
I can't see 4 miles. I think I never sent it that far away though, but I think the farthest I ever sent it is maybe 3,000 feet of distance.
That's pretty far, huh? Yeah. Well, so let's have this 2-part conversation really quickly on this. If somebody's thinking about getting into drones for a hobby, you think it's worth it? Or is it harder than it looks like, or is it fun? Just a quick 30-second, All
right, it's really fun. You can buy it. You have to register though.
Okay, you have to register.
You have to register with the government. I think we do that in the FAA website as well. Though I think it's like $5 to register for hobbies and commercial. So you have to register. Once you do that, you can fly it. There are a couple laws here and there. You have to be careful. You're close to the airport. You have to be 8 miles.
Gotcha.
But it's fun to fly. It's easy to fly.
How fragile is it?
The more you spend, the better it's the easier to fly.
How fragile is it though?
Well, this one has 2 sensors in the front, so if it gets closer to a person or a tree, it will stop.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So it's really neat. So like I said, the more money you spend,
the better product you get.
The better product, the easier to fly, because this one also uses GPS and satellite.
Wow.
So you can go to the controllers and it will stay hovering in one spot. And
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really neat. It's amazing technology.
And so the part 2 of that question is somebody's going to use the drones commercially. How big? I mean, you've been doing it. How long ago have you been doing it from a commercial standpoint?
A year.
A year. Has it been? I mean, most things it takes longer than a year to get started and whatnot. But maybe what's your experience been on that?
It's been interesting. I've been working with a lot of realtors actually, and they have different houses, different sizes. And they'll take differently point by flying the drone, because sometimes some of them are at the top of the hill, some of them are.
So everybody's using it for a different thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like the main thing, one of there was a property in Canton. It's over 200 acres.
I think I saw that one video you posted.
Yeah, it's about 200 acres, and you can experience 200 acres from, you can in a way just driving around though, but if you want to get the big picture, you need a drone.
Absolutely.
Go all the way up and be able to see the whole thing.
That kind of brings me to my next question then. What are the top 3 advantages to using a drone? Say I'm selling my house by myself, like as a for sale by owner, or say I'm listing my house. It's probably the same, right? It's going to benefit you the same, arguably. What are the top 3 benefits in your opinion? If somebody's like, why should I hire you, or why would I work with you?
In like any other product, you have to have you have to display the for this one it will be a house. You have to display the house. The more unique, the more beautiful the house is presented, the more appealing it becomes to the buyer.
Right.
So being able to hire, like for me, for example, having that cinematic look towards the house, it's more appealing to the person who's looking at it. So,
especially if they're looking at online or whatnot.
Yeah, especially if they're looking at online though, because that's where every search to a product, to a house, it's online.
Right. Yeah. Everything. Digital world.
Yeah, the digital world is, it's what one click away you can buy a house eventually. And but
so you make the product or the house more visually appealing.
Yes.
Go. What's number 2?
Number 2, just having that flexibility to compare to other houses.
Right. And to just get the full well-rounded approach.
Yeah. For drones, it's more, you're asking me 3 points. I guess
maybe there's not 3 though.
Maybe there's not. You only need a good-looking product.
Yeah.
But you have be certified. That's another big thing though, because the FAA will look online. They will look to see what people are doing with drones.
They pay attention.
They're getting better at it.
Wow.
Usually not really, because it requires a lot of money to research things. But if they want to, they can look it up, and they'll send you a nice letter saying you're driving too close to people, or
Have you gotten one of these letters?
No.
Malatesta?
No, I haven't gotten any letters. Thank goodness, because I do
try to avoid that, right?
Yeah, I do enjoy flying anywhere pretty much.
Right.
Sometimes it will lead me to fly close to downtown, but I try to avoid 8 miles of the airport and 4 miles within the helicopter pad in Mission.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, hey, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you have any tips for somebody who just bought a drone and just besides registering, like I don't know how to use it well, anything you did to hone your skills?
There are manuals that comes with the drone.
Okay.
If some of them are quick manuals, other times what I would suggest because sometimes it can get really tricky by just looking at words. I'm a visual learner, so I will go to YouTube.
The same way.
I'll go to YouTube and look up how to use certain settings.
And so what's the best way for somebody to get in contact with you for a house that they're looking to move?
I have an Instagram account. It's Asheville Aerial.
Okay.
And then my phone number is 828-515-1848. And
Cool.
You can AshevilleAerialImaging.com is the website to look at any aerial stuff or any requests for video for houses. Yeah.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for coming on. And everybody, thanks for tuning in. And like I said, follow us on Instagram. That's where we're going to try to live. We're trying to be everywhere you guys are at on social media. If you have any questions, if you like this episode, let us know. And reach out to Asheville Aerial. They're a good follow. Have a good one.